If there's one issue guaranteed to generate emotion and anger, it's the family law system. Mention it on air and you're inundated from both sides. And because of the emotion and because children are often involved, it is very difficult to separate fact from fiction. Earlier this year, in a bid to help ease the situation, the federal government announced a proposal to combine the family court with the federal circuit court. Now, the plan was announced by Attorney General Christian Porter, who said at the time, this significant structural change is designed to dramatically increase the number of family law matters finalised each and every year and reduce the backlog of unresolved cases on hand at any one time. He said the purpose of the reform is to ensure Australian families experience shorter waiting times and a reduction in the potential for conflict caused by prolonged and acrimonious family disputes. Now, at the moment, committee hearings on the proposed merger are taking place. So far this week, they've been in Perth, but the focus now is on the East Coast, and attending those hearings is One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. Now, Senator Hanson says while this plan, which had been due to take effect from the 1st of January, by the way, but is now more likely to start in March or April, will help with delays, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Pauline Hanson wants a royal commission into the family law system. She's called on the government to acknowledge that discriminatory aspects of the family law system contribute to the increase in male suicide rates over Christmas. The terms of reference of her proposed inquiry would include the conduct of lawyers and the cost of legal advice, the adequacy of legal aid and its budget, the cost of transcripts of court proceedings, the costs, adequacy and effectiveness of supervised visitation, the conduct and cost of those providing expert advice, including psychologists, the cost and cause of delays, the use of courts at night, the effectiveness and efficiency of the child support system, suicides related to the children's support and family court systems, and the experience of children. Senator Pauline Hanson is on the line right now. Pauline, thank you very much for your time this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you, Chris, for having me on.
How long has this issue been a concern for you and why?
Since 1996. When I first went into Parliament then, it was the biggest issue that came across my desk, and it does with any politician. You said once you bring it up on radio, the phone calls that come in, no different to politicians. Everyone knows that it's a huge problem, but they just push it to one side because what can you do about it? It's too big an issue to deal with.
It becomes almost too hard for them. Now, I don't want to intrude on your personal life, but it is relevant. You're a divorcee. You've been through the system yourself. How would you describe your experience?
I didn't have that much of a problem with it myself personally, but
Right.
I've been through it with two of my sons, and I'm going through it with one of my sons now at the moment for the past 3 years. I've been very concerned about my son's well-being and trying to deal with it through the court system, representing himself. So it's been extremely difficult for him. I've given him the assistance, support and financial assistance, through the trial. It's extremely hard. I've got people pulling me up when I'm doing my shopping, talking to me. I'm talking to men who are actually, at the end of their tether. I'm very concerned about them. It's absolutely disgusting. Not only that, it's the children that are lied to by their parents. They're denied the right to see their parents, either one, my father or the mother. I think that these solicitors and lawyers out there, what they charge their clients, I think it's disgusting. And just goes on and on and on. So
this proposal to merge the two courts, I got the impression when I heard this from the minister that he was simplifying what is a very complex issue. And when you go through the list of items that you want addressed in a Royal Commission, and I've just gone through those in the introduction to the interview, you start to understand how complex it is. There are so many issues that need to be tackled. It's not just about putting two courts together, is it?
No, it's not. It's a start, and you'll find that a lot of the judges are actually agreeing with it to streamline, and the Bar Association are actually saying it does need streamlining. You need a one-stop pathway for it to actually submit their paperwork to it. But it's just not that. what they're trying to do is get rid of the family law court so that there won't be any more family judges after the last one finishes up at the age of 17, about 2038, 39. So therefore, they're going to bring all of those family law court judges under the Federal Circuit Court.
Mm-hmm.
The Federal Circuit Court judges don't only handle family law, they handle all other aspects. A lot of the cases are to do with migration, plus other cases. So they're not expertise in that area. I'm not taking away from judges. There are some that are, but their workload. You will have some judges that will hear at least 10 cases an hour, just going through it. So judges need to be relieved of some of the mentions and some of the minor details that can be taken up by registrars. So they need to put more registrars on, open up the night court. See, we've got a backlog in the family law court of 3,000 cases and under the Federal Circuit Court, 16,800 backlog cases.
Wow.
You've got 12 to 18 months before a case can come before the court system.
And the longer those things go, Pauline, the more it damages the existing relationship between couples, and then
Correct.
The paradigm of children being caught in the middle of it all, and it just compounds the problem, doesn't it?
It does. And the big problem here also is child support. The child support agency has failed and it's not doing its job. And that's the biggest problem that I hear from people as well. So that needs to be sorted out.
You also say that there are judges in the system with no experience of family law. How can that be?
Look, they've got a touch of it, but they're not totally experienced. And that's why they were saying in the evidence that's been given, because I'm now going around Australia. We've been to Perth, Adelaide, Sydney today, Brisbane tomorrow, Townsville on Friday, to hear submissions from people with regards to the family law courts. And is this bill going to work? The thing is that, you know, they're worried about if we're going to lose that experience. And they're saying if you're actually going to get rid of the family law courts, you're going to lose those experiences because a lot of the barristers and solicitors will not go on to become judges in this area because their workload is too heavy, too stressful. So we need to look at that. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we need to get it right if we're going to make these changes. Now, they're saying that streamlining is going to help. But I'm concerned now, are we doing the right thing? So I'm going to proceed with this. I've also presented to the Prime Minister, and I said to him personally, I said, you've got to go for Royal Commission into the family law.
What was his reaction?
He said, let me think about it. Now, I've taken other ideas to the government, which they've taken up, my apprenticeship scheme, putting a pipeline for Townsville, you know, Defence Force contracts. I hope they listen to me with this one because it's a big issue, affects too many people. And as you said in my your opening statement about my comments, at this time of the year and on Father's Day, we have a lot of male suicides. We have a lot of suicides with regards to men who are not seeing their children to do with family law court matters. Please, and I beg people out there, if you know a single father out there, not a single father, but a father who doesn't see his children, who's depressed over this time of the year, please invite them to spend Christmas Day with you, see if they're okay, because I'm very concerned. I don't want to see a man or a female or a mother who doesn't see her children at this special time of the year.
Do you think that the family law decisions, more often than not, are still weighted against the man?
Yes. And
this is what you're getting from and gleaning from those who come to you to talk to you about family law?
Yes. What is happening is that a lot of women are using the domestic violence orders against the men to help their case so the fathers don't get to see the children. The fathers are then fighting these DVOs. There are actually a lot of them now bringing false allegations of sexual abuse, which is untrue. The fathers are up against a lot. And, of course, the courts have to protect the women. And I understand that because there's been 72 women that have been murdered in this last year. But there's also a lot more male suicides because of it. So it's a huge, big problem.
Don't we need a process by which you can get two sides together in a room, a conciliation negotiated process, which does happen from time to time, but not happen enough? Because legal practitioners tell me, when I raise this subject on air on my afternoon program, they tell me time and time again that these are far more effective at getting down to the nub of the issue between the two sides, both in terms of property and custody, and it makes a great deal of sense. And then you steer people away from having to fork out exorbitant legal fees.
Correct. I've actually been working with different organisations that for the last couple of years since being in Parliament. I've presented a plan to the Attorney-General last week, and it's basically this, where you actually work together on a portal, mediation, that you come to a decision. Now, it can be on property, and then it can actually do it in the parenting. So the parents actually have to come to agreement. So the first one who puts the case forward, so they want to go through this process, the other has 30 days to respond to it before it then goes to the court.
And then you relieve the pressure on all those judges in courts, Pauline.
That's the answer to it, and that's what I presented to the Attorney-General. He's having a look at it at the moment. So I'm trying to come up with ideas and ways that we can actually get it out of the court system. The average cost of a trial in the family law is about $110,000. In the Federal Circuit Court, it's about $30,000. These are figures yesterday. You've got about 25,000 cases that comes before the courts. The Western Australian has a totally different system, whereas the state government, the state has a say in the family law courts, but the magistrate has unlimited powers. They don't have that around the rest of the country. Everyone looks at the WA way of doing things as the ideal way of dealing with.
So we could learn from that system, could we?
Yes, we can. And that's why even other solicitors and judges around the country hold up the WA system. And they also have the judges come down with the decisions they have to within 3 months. You'll find that around the country, a lot of the decisions by judges are not handed down sometimes for a year, and in some cases I've heard up to even 4 years.
How
before
frustrating.
Decisions are exactly right. That's why people are fed up with it.
Yep.
So
All right.
I'm saying to these women out there, please, I've been a divorced mother myself. The kids only have one mum, one dad. You may have your differences. You were once together. You've made the beautiful child. Please, in the interest of the child and each other, get together, work out your differences, allow the parents to see the children.
Don't use them to hurt your partner.
As pawns, exactly right.
Yeah, okay. Good luck. You're on the right case because, as I said at the very beginning, the phones go hot on this subject. There is too much dysfunction in the family law court system, and it's got to change. Pauline, thank you very much for your time.
Tell the people need power. People power. We'll get on the phone to the Prime Minister and tell them you want a Royal Commission.
You want a Royal Commission. Support her campaigning on that score. Good on you, Pauline. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
One Nation leader Pauline Hanson.